Hello everyone, good afternoon. This is Fanny Menardi. Welcome for this last episode of the Mandela Prize Masterminds. I am here with my beautiful paintings. This one, the Halls of a Mentee, which represents actually was painting during the launch of the Polaris rocket for the first spacewalk. And my other artwork, Ministry of Sound, which is an anti-gravity equation to build new sustainable energy spaceships. I am also here with my rings, my grandmother ring, my paternal grandmother egg marine ring, my maternal grandmother egg marine ring as well, my chacana ring from Peru, and my apu, the medicine, the Inca god of medicine with the white stone of Machu Picchu. So the apus in the Inca culture, they are the gods of the mountains. Sometimes they're related to a mountain, a special place. Sometimes they're related to an element. Sometimes they're related to a discipline. Okay, so we're going to talk about so much interesting things today. And of course, this is part of my campaign for the Mandela Prize of the United Nations. So today, first, we're going to start by talking about Pacha Unai, which is Queiro's organization from the Inca culture, the last descendants of the Incas. It's a Peruvian organization that I met in Egypt during the Yo Soy event in 2022. There was this big event in front of the pyramids, and we had the grandmother Maria Apasa, who is almost 100 years old. She's 99 now. And they did like a concert almost. She was singing and blessing everyone. And then we actually ended up in the same cruise, which I didn't know they were going to be there. It was not a cruise that was part of the event. It was something I booked on my own. And they were there, so I got to spend the week with them. And so we went to the Temple of Isis. We're all together around the stone. I don't remember if it was a stone or a sarcophagus or what kind of room it was, but it was super powerful. It reminded me of this time when I was in Machu Picchu. So these are portals, you connect to certain places and they download codes within you and certain missions. And there's never a coincidence where you meet some people or you go to certain places. So I nominated them for the Equator Prize this week, and I've been talking to Alison. Her Inca name is Akorisam. And so we'll talk about that to start, because it's where everything starts in the earth, right? With nature and the elements. Without nature, without produce, without food and air, we cannot live. So this is the basics of life. And then I want to talk about the spaceships and how to connect my plan by working at the United Nations, how I want to connect the International Space Federation, which is led by Nassim Haramein, who was previously the director of research at the Resonance Science Foundation with William Brown, Adam Apollo, an astrophysicist. William Brown is a biophysicist, and all the team that was creating a bunch of courses online, who made me very interested in science. And this is why after I became a science teacher, because I wanted to continue the research and continue this anti-gravity equation. So now with AI, it's going to be revolutionary, because the missing part of an equation, for example, AI will be able to find the missing part by coding, by recognizing patterns and all this stuff. Also, we'll talk about aliens, how to communicate with aliens, because you've seen that the poster for that event was a round table around the earth with a bunch of light beings. And this is not something that is made up. It's actually a dream that I had, or let's say a memory from before incarnating on Earth. I had a dream or a memory. I don't remember if it was a dream or if I just remember it. But I remember literally being in this room with the view to the Earth exactly like the image. Adam Apollo posted that picture, I think. And we were probably in this room together. I've connected with him. We've done an interview together. He's absolutely brilliant, extremely smart, a genius when he talks about astrophysics and stuff like that. But also spirituality. He's a writer. Now he talks about his past life memories. And so we were all around the Earth and with other beings that looks just like that picture. And we were talking about how are we going to change, improve humanity and avoid the dramatic scenarios to repeat themselves, because I was born in 1986, just a few weeks, 2 weeks or 3 weeks after the explosion of Chernobyl in Ukraine. So it was a nuclear explosion, very dangerous. Then during Second World War, there was Hiroshima. Then in the years 2000 something, we had Fukushima. But this is for the recent years. But in long time ago, during the time of Atlantis, there's also stories of how Atlantis disappeared, that people became so greedy for power and technology, power and technology, right? And having the technology and developing the technology, and who's going to have the technology, that we ended up blowing everything up. And this is why the civilization disappeared, and that a lot of us then reappeared in Egypt or through the Incas. And nowadays, in the modern time, where we've been able to access and gather all that knowledge, mostly thanks to the internet, to have another shot, right? And this time, are we going to blow everything up or not? This is why we need activists. We also need courageous people at the government. So we are going to talk about this as well. How to make good digital artworks online. I was making fun of the White House because the digital art, they're cutting phones apparently on their digital art, because like a toddler could make their visuals. Honestly, all my visuals I make with a very simple program with like Word or iPage or Pages, because I just don't have the money to buy Photoshop. So give me Photoshop and don't worry, I make some amazing designs. But at the same time, the talk is about doing the dirty work. Yes, the Biden administration, their graphic design and their team were amazing. They were all looking good, super nice and positive and very smart intellectuals. Like, they were the top, right? Biden's administration, they were so cheerful, motivational, they were real mentors and beautiful. But at the same time, the diplomacy and wanting to be great in partnerships with everybody, that gave space to corruption, because maybe they didn't dare say no, they didn't dare stepping up or offending people. So that led to some catastrophes as well. So what we're seeing right now with Trump administration is the complete opposite. They don't give a crap about what people think about them. They're cutting funds on all these appearances, but at the same time, someone needs to do the dirty work. And sometimes it goes through like boring spreadsheets and pissing some people off. But you have to, I know, because at the individual level, I've gone through it where I wanted to help everybody and I was drowning myself. I had to violently cut ties with everybody and just immerse myself in my own recovery so I could get my head out of the water. So I understand that maybe America has to, how do you say in English? Tie the funds a little bit to get back on track. And we need to support them. When I see all the hate, that is towards Elon Musk or toward the government, I mean, they've been voted. We need to support them now and give a balancing opinion to ensure the harmony between the technology and the nature, reminding them every day that we need to breathe. Once you burn all the molecules of oxygen on the planet and cut all the trees, you're fucked, guys, okay? So you need to put nature as a priority, the carbon sink, okay, which is the plants, the trees, the oceans, everything that turns our garbage into life and oxygen, what helps us to live. And sometimes when you have a goal and like his goal is going to Mars and we have a window to go there, and of course it's inspirational for humanity and the progress and robots and AI that is going to do the dirty work for us. Maybe it's going to allow humans to access better and more intellectual and interesting jobs in the long run, but not to forget where we come from. So this is just the introduction, guys. Then I'm going to go back to point by points. Then we're going to do some literature, of course, some forbidden literature today. We're doing an extract of the Fractal Holographic Universe by Billy Carson. Oops. Okay. And how to lead a campaign, how to build a nomination campaign. Okay. So this is all we're going to talk about. And so connecting the International Space Federation with SpaceX. I forgot this other part, of course, because the point is to build bridges and bring the funds and the connections and the legal approvals to make this new technology happen. Okay, so let's start with Pacha Unai. So Pacha Unai, the Keros, were farmers by birth. Okay, so they live in the Andes, they raise their own animals, they produce their own food, they use the wool of the animals to create their own clothing. Alison was explaining to me, even though I knew it, sometimes that also highlights the power of partnerships, because something either seems too obvious for you, or maybe I have a job, I work 40 to 48 hours a week, plus I'm a mom, I have my pets, I clean, then I'm doing things for others, so sometimes you don't think about everything. That's why proofreading is so important and working in partnerships, so you know you can have a different perspective and make your work be more relevant and speak to everybody. So they have a really sustainable way of life that is truly inspiring, because when you are in the Andes, you feel really connected with the nature and the spirit. They talk to the spirit of the mountains. When they created the organization in 13 days, every day was connecting to a certain place and an apu, or through a plant, the plant medicine. They call it Mama Coca, Mama what was it, Mapacho, okay, the ayahuasca. I mean, it wasn't part of their inauguration, but they do ayahuasca ceremony as well. And most of the people who take ayahuasca, they say, I realize that everything is alive, everything has a soul and a spirit, and they talk to us and they see us. And I never took the ayahuasca because I was like, I'm already out there enough. I don't need to be, stuck in there, because I know I could hear the mountain, like Pocahontas, the wind talking to me, and I could see faces. You really feel it when you're there. And oh yeah, so once you're able to realize that we're all connected through nature, and even scientifically through all the electrons, right? Every electron touch other electrons through space, right? They're spinning and touch each other. So essentially all matter touches all matter, is connected to all matter. Once you realize that and you start acting in a certain direction in respect to the environment, honoring certain spirits, offering, they do a lot of offerings as well. Every time I go to a sacred place, in Peru, for example, I left some crystals everywhere I went. Here at the beach in Jacksonville, I threw some crystals at the beach. Here in my pond, there are some crystals. Sometimes I threw them out of offerings. Sometimes I throw them out of anger, like as a catharsis. But no matter what, when you do these offerings and you go in these certain directions, then the spirits will guide you, will help you, okay, to make it happen. Have you ever felt like, oh my God, I felt like something pushed me. Oh my God, I felt like something protected me. Like, these stories of, I don't know, there was someone had an accident and the kid, had the airbag in his face, and the firefighter, like the rescue team, would say, that is a miracle that he didn't get his neck broken, because and he say, yeah, he felt like something just pushed it on the way. Or that you ever feel like something is holding you, or something was protecting you, or something even guided you in the wrong direction. And actually, like for me, in my divorce, I felt like huge forces took me out of my divorce, out of my marriage. Even that was crazy, because that was the worst pain of my life. I didn't get married because I wanted to have a divorce. I wanted to have a happy family, have a, easy life. And so in order for me to get out of this comfort zone, so I don't know how big and amazing will my destiny gonna be, but this is also how I convinced myself, because I felt like it was just such a one after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other. I felt like everything was conspiring against me. And then I was like, maybe this is all the element conspired to do that, because otherwise I would have never moved, or done another route, or I would have taken it easy, or listened to, don't do that, it's not worth it, it's not profitable. Nobody can understand what I do. No one. Like spending all my weekends doing this PDF for people that I just met, or applying to the United Nations 20 times without an answer. I mean, I have answers in a certain way that not everybody can see. You have to look through the veil and recognize the codes and the language. Okay, but if you're not open to it, or not interested to it, or not educated to it, you don't see it. So everything conspired to take me to that road. And I feel like when I was in Machu Picchu and I touched the stone of the sun, this is when I got this huge download that took me to that mission. Because right after I went there, this is when I met my ex-husband in Peru. And after I went there, I had so much magnetism in my body that every time I would enter in a room, like the light bulbs would blow up, like the TV would shut off, computers would shut off. So I knew I received like huge downloads. And every time I traveled, or we traveled to some certain places, you're downloading, right? And then you're being connected to those spirits that can travel through space-time. They're not tied to a certain place. They can connect to you. And then they will accompany you and guide you on that journey. Okay, so and persistently, like Freddy Quispe Singona, who was a shaman working with the Shift Network, he was saying, you can forget about Pachamama, but Pachamama will never forget about you. And it's true, even when you come to the United States, you can feel a little disconnected with nature. But in the end, they will always find you. No matter where you are, if you're meant to do something, you realize you're always connected. So understanding all this maybe will help the world treat nature differently and become more conscious about how we use the environment. So for example, Alison was telling me that those farmers, the Keros, when they they produce food and crops, every year in between each crop, they let the earth rest for an entire year in order for the earth to heal and recuperate and recharge. And then the next food that will be produced will be full of these nutrients and energy. While in the US, it just produce, and the food is not, it's like You have to dig deeper and deeper and deeper in the earth, and then you have earthquakes, and then you have fires, and then you have all these catastrophes because the earth is unbalanced. It's the same with you when you're at work. If you're just work, 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 no holidays, pressure, 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 you get sick. Okay, sick and sick and sick. And on the other hand, if your job is easier and your job is easier, or you have, it's not so much a question of pressure, but more like the recognition and the feeling like more relaxed and gratified, and you feel in your home, in your space, then you will feel aligned. And if you have, actually, I feel like working less makes you more efficient than working more. So when you have a government right now that is all about efficiency, teachers need to be efficient, people need to be efficient, productivity, it's actually counterproductive, because you're pushing people to be slaves, and either they will quit or they will not produce quality because they haven't had time to process or think wisely about the things. So it can be simple things as letting people come in at the time they want in the morning without abusing, of course, but you're not going to be after people if they're 20 minutes late sometimes, or that morning they couldn't make it to work. Or, I mean, certain jobs like schools and hospitals, of course you have to be there, but for some jobs that don't necessarily require you to be at a certain time, maybe offer more flexibility will actually bring more productivity, so it's not about quantity, it's about quality. I always say that. And here in the US, I feel like it's never enough. You have to do more and more and more to prove that you can do it, and to prove for what in the end? For nothing. So this is why it's so important to reward people, and that I'm fighting so much for the people that I admire and who do so much for the world and for others to be recognized, because then it encourages us then to be a good person and do something for others. And if I'm doing all these promotion campaigns for other people, maybe sometimes some people will vote for me then, and then I get my recognition, and then maybe I inspire other single mom who's been rejected, struggling, mocked, insulted, underestimated, right, or challenged or tested, to show them that if you do this work and you show you're consistent, and you show it's a passion, and you show you respect people, you're also honest and transparent, then they will want to do it and not give up on themselves first, and for their children, and offer a better future for their children. So my other point was to be transparent. So when you're doing a campaign, electoral campaign or nomination campaign like I'm doing right now, be transparent. I'm saying the truth when I contact, I did my campaign about the Secretary General, or when I contacted Pacha Unai, I told them right away, I'm doing this because I want to work at the United Nations. I think your mission is important. I respect your work to the highest point. I think you dedicated your entire life to a cause for others. It inspires me, and I feel like you should be rewarded. So I decided to put my energy for you and to produce something quality for you, because I support you, of course. I'm not going to do this for someone that I don't admire. But this also going to create content for my resume, and because I want to work at the United Nations. And so then we, as a network that we've created, that we weaved between each other, can move up to the United Nations, and then have that leverage to speak up in front of the governments and the monopoly, like I call it, because right now they don't realize what they're doing. They criticize, they're like, Vivek was saying, great teacher needs a raise, and the other ones, we need to lower their salaries. Let me just tell you something. If you're not a good teacher, if you don't like kids, you're not going to stay anyways. Being a teacher is not a job that people stay if they don't like their job, if they're not good at their job. So maybe Not all of us is like the best, super productive teacher, but we all have something to teach. And this is why you have a team and we all in unity. Someone will be super efficient at completing curriculum fast. Someone will be super efficient at keeping the kids disciplined. Sometimes will be very human and have, be like the mother. Like I know my kids, they come to me, they have a problem, they come to me, they like just to say hi in the morning, they tell me their problems, I know all of their lives. So yeah, sometimes they're a little agitated, they like to laugh in the classroom and stuff. I have to redirect, and maybe that's not most productive part, but at the same time I know how to explain things in an easy way. Then there's teachers that are a lot better at keeping kids on track than just on work, and the kids love it because they need that. So it's called being complementary. So don't come and start stressing out the people who are raising your kids every day, because you need us. So teacher needs a pay raise, period. Okay? And same for then, of course, the education system. There needs to be some adjustment. For example, I said it before, so many exams, sessions of exams never finish. You barely have any time to teach anymore. So this is useless. You can teach once a year, that's enough, or once at the beginning and once at the end. You don't need to do 3 or 6 sessions of exams a year. That's a waste of time. That's a waste of money. But don't defund the schools. That's what I'm just saying. And maybe cutting it down the Department of Education so you can trickle down the money down to actually the teachers. Teacher is a great job. I'd love to be a teacher if I could afford my life by being a teacher on my own. It would be great. Maybe I'd be bored doing this for 30 years. But why not? You have a lot of holidays. If you have a family and you're settled, a lot of people would love that. Okay, so that was about the transparency and the Pachaunai. They're now in India for one of the rarest festivals because it happens every 144 years with the alignment of the planet. So they're going to be in deep prayers for the next 3 days. So while they're doing their prayers, I'm doing their campaign for the Equator Prize. So hopefully that will lead to successful partnerships in the future. Then let's talk about, the spaceships and SpaceX. So my dream is to have Nassim Haramein, Elon Musk, around the table, Adam Apollo around the table, some astronauts, and to discuss how to build this sustainable energy spaceship. So I am a very great partner of the International Space Federation, even though we don't directly communicate. We've been following each other for many, many years. I highly respect them. I know that Nassim Haramein lives with complete integrity in his work. I know it hasn't been easy. He talks about how the science field is full of competition and people trying to intercept your work, impeach your work and stuff like that, just like in politics, So you don't know why, really, but he's a great person to work with, and they're working on free energy, which is also what Elon Musk is working on. He's actually in a prophecy. There was a text document that said that someone named Elon was gonna come and continue the work of Nikola Tesla. So the prophecies are happening. The eagle and the condor is happening right now with the shamans that are now making it worldwide and through the windows to the world, being able to speak up and now connect and reach out to the technology. So always to find that balance. Just remember, if we don't want to blow up the world, we need to find the balance. So when I see the new Secretary General of NATO, who is basically a robot, repeating over and over that we need to boost defense production, defense spending. It's like, were you just elected to gather money for missiles, or is there actually a peace project? So then he changed his dialogue. Then he said, okay, of course, the goal is long-lasting peace for Ukraine. So I'm grateful for people listening. I truly am, and I respect that a leader could listen to criticism and not trying to, retaliate against freedom of speech, mostly when it's meant with good intentions. It shows the leverage that we have, the influence that we have through the internet, by being able to communicate directly with the people and keep them accountable, keep each other accountable. So of course it's easier to speak behind a camera in your living room than when you're in the middle of other leaders who have their own objectives, their own budget, their own determination, their own enemies, their own grudges, their own hopes and aspirations. And you have to deal with everybody together. You have to support your allies and reassure them. You can't ally with the enemy of your ally. So yeah, of course, it's delicate. This is why there's these strategic partnerships right now, with Trump stepping back a little bit more from Europe. He's not going to Europe. He's sending his VP so he can get closer to, the big bad guy and Russia, and reestablish the partnerships. There's also some leaders like the Indian Prime Minister who is making his way here. So he's a great friend with Putin. So these common networks and allies are going to weave the network back together. Okay? We can't forget the crimes. Okay? You see people like Netanyahu or Putin who have committed war crimes, and they've been condemned to extremely severe sanctions from NATO or the International Court of Justice, the International Criminal Court. So their freedom is a negotiation point, right? This is the moment right now where we have to ask something big. Okay, you want to be cleared and you want to be free. We'll never forget what happened, all the millions of people that were killed, but we need something consequent in exchange. Okay, we need to promise that we're now going to start the removal of the nuclear weapons, and in exchange you'll have freedom. In exchange, we're going to give you the recipe of the new spaceships, and focus on a common hopeful project together, the Space Olympics 2030. Okay, so now, how do we communicate with aliens? The buoy-tuies, we call it with my son. There were times in my life, on and off, where I had multiple encounters with these light beings. So in New Orleans, before I was pregnant, or during the time when I had my child in New Orleans, I don't remember before or after, it started in my dreams. That I would have these vivid dreams when I didn't know. I would wake up and didn't know if the thing really happened or if it was a dream. I would dream that I wake up and I would see a spaceship over my house and light beings come, like communicate with me, touch my shoulder, and then I would wake up again in my bed. So very vivid, weird dreams that I would remember very well, and then the past life regressions with this memory in the spaceship. And we were all around the table and saying, so how are we going to change the world this time? How are we going to help humanity? And I remember saying, okay, we'll make them a drawing. There is an expression in French that says, on va leur faire un dessin. So we'll make them a drawing. And surprisingly, then I became a painter. I never wanted to be a painter, but after that encounter, when the light being touched my shoulder and I woke up in my bed, after that, I started painting. So once again, they downloaded some codes. I went to Mexico. There was this giant triangular cloud with light coming out of it. And I saw these codes, like geometrical shapes, letter shapes, equations and codes and stuff coming out of it. After that, I started painting. I never stopped. And then I started seeing the paintings activating and stuff like that. And then it stopped. So I was just painting, right? Then I started making my oracle. They published my oracle. So then it started going really well. I had my order. We bought the house here. So you see, I started the paintings, then I found a gallery, then I found an oracle. I loved it. I wrote to the publisher. They instantly accepted my oracle, even though I was completely new and unknown. Then we found our dream house here in like 5 minutes. First house we ever visited. Then I received a phone call out of nowhere. No, then I had the idea of just asking my old neighbor how she's doing. I haven't talked to her in a while. I'm like, hey, Stacy, I haven't heard from you in a while. How you doing? How are the kids? And just she's like, oh my God, I can't believe you're texting me. I was just thinking about you. I need 30 artworks for the hospital of New Orleans. Can you do that? So just things coming. So that's why I'm saying that when you're going in the right direction, the spirits help you in the journey, manifest the things very easily. And all this happened when I wasn't working. I was taking a lot of trips. I was in my greatest mood and time of my life. So the more you're joyful and relaxed, and the more you manifest. Then all shit went down. Sorry guys for the language. Everything went down. And all of a sudden everything crumbles. Blah blah blah. Right? The divorce, the arguments started. My husband was living in another city because of the ship. We never see each other. Start arguing. Other people came in, and the terrorist thing. It's just then and then blah blah blah. The fake babysitter. Like that was just crazy. And I was like, what is going on? I was in shock, panic. My heart was beating. I almost had a heart attack. I was in so much shock that I had pneumonia. I almost died. I was spitting blood. That was really like crazy. That's why I was like, I was in my ascending, and all of a sudden maybe that was actually the route, right? Like, okay, we're setting her ground, and then now we need to shift everything with the foundation. Foundation will stay, but everything else inside is gonna shift. Okay, and luckily this is when I met my mentors, and the COVID opened up everything up online, so I could survive thanks to you guys. So gratitude, even though I got, that stuff hurt me also a lot, but there was a lot of censorship. A lot of people just hated me even though they didn't know me. So that was, but most of all, I survived. And now I was just too far in to just stop everything I did. So I just keep going and continued. And then at this time, this is when we started having other encounters with my son. This is when we started having other encounters. So here in Jacksonville, started to have another spaceship, like a cloud, very weird shaped clouds coming just right above my house, and like the wind and the trees. And then my son, very weird stuff started happening to my son. My door would open like this, like the whole castle was haunted. So I felt some strong presence here, and that was during the divorce. That was the other time. Okay, so how do you talk to aliens? You just communicate. You just call them and do something creative. Okay, when you're painting, for example, you're meditating, you're not stressed, you're doing something creative, it opens up your channel and your way to communicate. So some people meditate, pray, meditate. That's just not my thing. I fall asleep if I meditate. I sleep. I never meditated in my life. If I meditate, I go to bed. I'm bored. I feel unproductive. I feel like I'm making stuff up. If I'm going, I did a quantum regressive session. One day I just felt like I was making stuff up, even though afterwards I realized that it was actually real, what I saw and everything. But through the painting, This is my specific way. Of course, the power of prayer is important because you're posing intentions and you're going to other realms and seeking guidance and spirits and stuff and communication thing this way. My way is painting because I feel productive when I'm painting. At the end, I've been meditating, and in the end, I feel like what I painted are stuff that are actually, this is the message, the stuff that are going to happen. I feel like I'm being called to paint some stuff. Sometimes right away, I'm like, oh, I need to start a painting. Sometimes I know exactly what it's going to be, and sometimes I have no idea. I just start something, and then step by step, then I have the information. Next step, you do that. Next step, you do that. And then I open my Instagram and I see like 5 other people posting the same thing. And I was like, oh, collective download, okay? All connected. So confirmation, telepathy, entanglement, right? All these scientific theories that have been confirmed thanks to the internet. And then with those windows to the world. So let's read this extract now of the fractal holographic universe. So there are many passages very interesting. There is like passages about coding, the codes in the DNA, the codes in the matrix, all this stuff. But the one I want to read is the role of fractals in understanding complexity, so the predictive power. While complex systems are notoriously difficult to predict due to their sensitivity to initial conditions and nonlinear interactions, fractals provide a way to understand the scaling laws that govern them. By studying the fractal dimension of various structures within a complex system, scientists and analysts can make more informed predictions about its behavior. So, what I have in mind exactly reading this passage is the periodic table of the elements. So Mandela, the scientist who studied the elements and who created the periodic table, was able to predict the existence of missing elements thanks to the pattern recognition, right? He recognized that every electron, there was always an electron that had always an element that had one more electron than the one before. And then he realized that he could organize them in this way with one more electron every time. And then he realized that as he went, the substance was shifting. So from more gassy to more solid, those that are more combustible, and those that are more fire resistant, those that are more, I don't know, acidic, whatever. Okay, I don't know exactly everything about the periodic table, but that was fascinating that he could predict that at this spot right here, they were missing some elements, right? The power of prediction, sorry, oh my god, my English is horrible. Design and optimization, and then I'm going to talk about the light beams. Okay, I'm coming back to the spaceship, don't worry, it's all coming back together. In engineering and design, understanding the fractal nature of complex systems can lead to more efficient and robust solutions. For example, fractal-based designs and antennas, material, and even software algorithms can optimize performance by mimicking the scale invariant properties of natural fractals. So now, the advantage that we have about finding out about time travel, for example, is that we've witnessed it. So the book I was reading last time in my gallery tour video, if you go to the end, I'm reading the book about the ovnis, and I'm reading a passage where the witness, describes the spaceship that he saw, and there were light beams coming out of the spaceship. You see the spaceship I just drew right here? That was before I read the OVNI book. I mean, the OVNI book, I read it when I was 9 years old, so I didn't remember, okay? I kept the book. I just had the idea of taking it out the other day and opened a random page for my conference. And they were talking about the light beams coming out of the spaceship. Why am I saying that? Because When I'm telling you the spirits are taking you exactly where you need to be to put all the pieces together, when I became a science teacher, guess what was in the curriculum of the 7th grade science program? Light waves and harnessing human energy. Light waves, I learned, because I didn't know, I knew a little bit about light waves, but I never went in detail. We had this amazing program on Amplify Science that shows the wavelength, right, of the light. So depending if it's a UV light, okay, so you have the light scheme like that, and you have so hold on, you see, I don't know if you're seeing backwards or not, but let's imagine, for example, you have the radio waves that have the largest wavelengths, radio waves that are not dangerous. It's like the light, they're the size of a bridge, by the way. This is how big the wavelength is. A wavelength of a radio wave is the size of a bridge, okay, bigger than your house, okay? So that's why radio, when you're listening to the radio, those radio, well, I mean, it's not light wave, it's sound waves, but it's the same principle, okay? These go all over the town. Wi-Fi, all these waves, they're huge waves, okay? A radio wave is not detrimental for your body because it's large. It's like just imagine a needle, right? A needle going, a little bit needle going through your skin. It doesn't hurt, okay? It's just a little needle, okay? Like you're pressing your ear or whatever. It's very, very thin, okay? Doesn't hurt. Now, a UV light or a gamma ray, for example, the wavelength is very, 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 very small, okay? Very, 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 very small, okay? So just imagine these like thousands of little needles like this going through your skin, okay? So that hurts. That's why when you're taking an X-ray or you're exposed to nuclear waves, gamma rays, okay, they're very detrimental to your skin because even though you can't feel it, it's like imagining having thousands of little needles, okay, going through your system. That hurts. Just imagine being attacked by a bunch of needles, right? That's the same thing. So this is when I understood light waves. Now, considering that as we use only 10% of our brain, we're not able to see everything. Maybe some animals or other beings that have their brain more open are able to see things that we can see. For example, we say that cats, they're able to see the ghosts, okay, that are in another frequency, another dimension. So maybe if we could use all of our brain, all of our perception, or see all the dimensions, we would be able to see all the waves, right, that are around us. So now if you imagine that those waves have a density, if you're able to capture those light waves through a certain density, right, then they can become a type of matter or a type of energy, electricity, right, that creates this anti-gravity force that you're not necessarily able to see it, but you would still be able to feel it. So the person who would see this spaceship, he said that as he was approaching he said there was these thick rays of lights coming out of the spaceship, and it seemed like the spaceship was on these lights. They were like as if they were pillars of light that the spaceship was just put on, like this, just sustained by it, okay? So he said that as he was approaching the rays of light, his skin and body started tingling. So that correlate to my explanation of capturing the density of those wavelengths that are probably dangerous for a human to touch. But that would be able to be almost like matter, to be this gravitational force that keeps the spaceship levitating. So how do you surround those light waves within the diameter, right, of what you want by sound waves. So maybe between sound and light waves, you'd be able to create this magnetic field, and with a self-calculating device that always calculates, no matter where you are in space, the gravity where you are, and therefore the magnetic force that you need to create an impulsion or propulsion at whatever point in space. This stuff is self-regulating, so then it would always be able to stay in space, right? So that's the equation. So now all we're missing is the proportion, as always. But so the light force, okay? So the predictive power, we have it because we have witnesses who have seen it. We don't even need to predict or to invent. We have the model, we know it exists, okay? They've probably been traveling from the future, and we have witnesses, and now we just have to learn to reproduce it. It's like this bottle, how you call it, the Escher bottle or whatever, this thing that loops into itself. Like, you don't know what came first. Like, we created them, but they came from the future to show us how to do it. So maybe from far in the future, that's my theory, when after we blow up everything in nuclear weapons and stuff like that, the little gray aliens found a way to come back. They put all the rest of the energy to come back in time to teach us before the drama happened, to accelerate our technology before the drama happens, so we can become more conscious and to warn us, okay? And this is why in the representation, in the movies, in the 90s, and in the 90s, that was just after the Chernobyl and Fukushima and stuff came after, we always had this representation of these ugly gray aliens that were asphyxiated and their lungs turned blue. So they were scary because it's a mirror of ourselves in the future. It's a mirror of humanity not being able to sustain itself and to go towards their full potential, okay? They're not actually scared about a little gray thing. You're actually scared about everything that your soul knows it means, but your consciousness right now doesn't. So as the time went, and as the spiritual came, and the science, the gap between science and spirituality became smaller. Now in the movies, the aliens became more like these blue beings, beautiful, shiny, radiant, right? Because we're actually doing it. We're accomplishing, okay? We're accelerating our technology, and now there's one being, Elon Musk, okay, showing us how it's done. And you need the resonance, the International Space Federation now to combine the two technologies and the integrity, and be surrounded by good people, not just sharks at the government. So we can actually make it happen and prevent the missiles. So the nuclear weapon is one of the things. I think it was luminous, was the first medium that really, psychic, that really woke everybody up in France. And she was saying that the one message from the Atlantis civilizations and mission of our generation to come here was to remove the nuclear weapons, to prevent these dramatic scenarios. Okay, so the timeline is shifting as we evolve and going towards a mission. The future is changing at the same time because all the timelines happen at once. Okay, resilience and adaptability. The fractals. Hold on. The fractal structure of many complex systems contributes to their resilience. By distributing functionality across different scales and enduring redundancy, the systems can withstand shocks and adapt to changes without losing their overall integrity. This is crucial for ecosystems, economic systems, and technological networks alike. Interdisciplinary insights. The fractal nature of complex systems provide a common language across disciplines, from physics and biology to economics and sociology. This interdisciplinary approach fosters collaboration and innovation, leading to deeper insights into the nature of complexity and the development of new theories and application. Challenges and future directions. Yeah. Yeah, there are limits to how much can be predicted or controlled. Yeah. So this is us. So this is us who are creating the future. We are the future, okay? So let's keep going. Okay, and that's it. So how to lead a nomination campaign and doing your graphic designs. So if you want to create beautiful graphic designs, I do everything on my pages or with a little program called PixArt on my phone. So it's really self-taught. I don't have Photoshop. I don't have, it's just looking for beautiful backgrounds, meaningful pictures. Remember that every image, every word has a frequency. So you can always control your emotions and be at the top. You just have to be yourself, but also be very mindful, because I noticed that what I was posting on my Instagram often was like a vision board and manifested. So there were some things when I just like posted randomly, then I realized things were happening and I was like, oh my god, this is blocking me. My post from 6 months ago, that thing is in between those two images, that's blocking me right there. So this is why I always redo my Instagram until it's like looking like good because I really believe that our visuals are like vision boards and influence the shape of reality. So if you want free designs and artworks that you can use for your graphic designs, you can go to my Mandela Tech that I often post online, and all my artwork, you can use it for free. I don't mind it. Unless as you like credit me, at least by respect, but you can. I'm happy if you're using my designs. I always try to have a background that doesn't overwhelm really too much the front. Have a font that you can use a shadow to make the font like be highlighted, and then make it meaningful. Like make your visual be an expression of what you're saying. If you're talking about a price, then post some gold, post some, like the United Nations, they often post their golden logo at the General Assembly because the price, right, the gold, they won the Nobel Peace Prize for the Secretary General, so they keep posting the golden coin, golden coins, and I do that as well. If you want to promote nature, then post some leaves or post like some medicinal plant. Just put, what about that? What about we all start putting medicinal plants in the background of our artworks? So by the energy of it, people start infusing it. I found that out when I was painting for Rosa Picot, the cannabis champagne, the French cannabis champagne that I promote. Their logo was so cool. I painted 13 of them, and I found that when I was painting those, I stopped smoking naturally. I was painting the logo, the symbol, I was receiving the same benefit as actually consuming the plant. Okay, so there is so much power into the visual, the frequencies, okay, the power of love, of course, being kind, saying some kind words to people, being authentic when something pisses you off. Just say it. Don't always try to be like, like, you can always be nice, because then people are going to think you're fake. Or if you really are too nice, then it means you're just putting yourself after everybody else, and then you have to stand up for yourself, because if you don't stand up for yourself, don't worry, people will step up all over you and take advantage of you, unless your circle really loves you and lives with integrity and wants the best for you and would never take advantage of you, but that's rare. If you have those people, then keep them. But also seeing the best in each other. That's what I love about our network, how we're so supportive and promote each other and really truly appreciate and are sincere. And I think the more sincere you are, the more transparent you are when you're so loving or when you're so pissed off, then people will trust you and then will know, oh, she means it, or she's making a lot of effort to mean it, and how to lead a nomination campaign. So that was very interesting because I did the Nobel Peace Prize campaign, Nobel Prize for Literature, Physics and Science, literature, physics, science and chemistry. So there was the Nobel Peace Prize, literature, chemistry, science, physics, right, for Elon Musk, of course. Who else better than Elon Musk could have the Nobel Prize for Physics this year? He's the man who accomplished everything. The Nobel Peace Prize, who more than Antonio Guterres could have it. He's done so much. The United Nations is basically the only organization that lives with integrity nowadays and that is helping people genuinely all around the world, who speaks up for the rights of women, who speaks up for refugees, who is always behind the voice of the voiceless, who sends funds, who provides employment, the sustainable goals. I mean, I live for this. This is so important. Literature, I am still supporting Elizabeth and Billy Carson because they're very honest people. Their literature is amazing. The Tablets of Emerald, of course, changed my life. There's a lot of portions of the Tablets of Emerald that made me continue. For example, there is a portion that says that some rooms will be left vacant and yet be the keys of a mentee, and so when I know I don't have no follower on social media and I know that all my meaningful work is in it, I'm like, okay, so I'm one of these rooms, guys. Also, there's a part that says that whoever gets close to the flower of life will be extremely empowered, and this is what I do every time. Like, I get close to people, I try to empower them, I promote them, I see massive success for them. So of course it's frustrating when you see everybody else have massive success and never you, but it will come in my time. Okay, maybe that's my reward. Maybe I got my reward before I had my efforts, had the time of struggle, but now my peace is my reward right now, Yes, this goofball right here, my baby, we're having the life, right? So after that, the Equator Prize for Pachaunai, and now my campaign for myself for the Mandela Prize. When you're writing a campaign, remember that everybody's so busy. People don't have time. People don't have time to do things for others. They barely have time to do things for themselves. So you want to make it fast for them. You want to pre-write all the work. That's what I did for all the campaigns. I would make a magazine and a PDF, answer all the questions, pre-write everything, summarize their actions, summarize the information, and publish it transparently. There's no shame in wanting to earn more money for your business. If you're doing a good business that benefits the world, you want to continue the legacy of the Incas that have been here for hundreds of years. You want to be rewarded for your hard work, to have legacy. Get off. To have legacy in front of the government. Sorry, yeah, they're getting excited. I'm finishing up, guys. So there is no shame in wanting to have the legacy in front of the government to stop the mining. She just told me, Alison, that there were 3 kids that were killed because of the mining there in Peru. This is stuff I was already studying there in the 90s. Okay, that is still happening. In the meanwhile, they're still digging illegally, they're still cutting woods illegally, they're still polluting, launching rockets. And then we here at the doctor because we have pneumonias, we can breathe, our lungs are burning, you know. So in our own inaction, it's happening. Those who don't care or that just had their goal and want to accomplish it, they keep going, you know. So that's why we need to be there at the government, at the United Nations. We need to have the leverage, we need to have the money, we need to have the power to balance it. I'm not against Elon Musk. I love him. I love space. I love astronauts. I love rockets. I wanted myself to be an astronaut when I was young. I just don't want rockets that pollute everything, because by the time my son becomes an astronaut, we'll all die with pneumonias, okay? I want to work on a sustainable energy spaceship so we can travel safely with the things that we know can exist, and work all together and be partners, okay? Fulfill the prophecy of Pachacuti, when the eagle and the condor will fly together in the sky, then the world will know peace. The eagle, I repeat, the eagle is the totem animal of America. It symbolizes the technology, the dominance, the power, the money, the resources, okay? And the condor is the symbol of South America. It represents the shamanism, the ancestral wisdom, the holistic medicine, sustainable living. Okay, we need both. Let's not be hypocritical. I love my comfort. I love my bathtub. I love my car. I love that everything functions on machine and is very practical. I don't have to go collect my plants because I can't grow anything, honestly. Okay, I love the Incas, but they didn't teach me how to grow a plant, because as soon as I plant something, it dies. Okay, so I love the technology. At the same time, I never felt so alive than when I was with just my little person, and nothing, walking by myself in the Andes and feeling like I talked to the mountain. I was the queen of the world. Like, I was like, man, I made it. I can believe me. I'm here in the other side of the world, in the middle of the Andes. Nobody tell me what to do. I did it, and by myself I did it. Like, you can't imagine. Like, I don't think I would never ever feel this again. Like, maybe the day I'm at the General Assembly at the United Nations, I will feel like this. I'll be like, man, look, I did it, guys. I did it, man. Me. And by myself. Everybody mocked me and didn't make any money. I was just breaking, grinding, and anxiety and all that. And now it paid off. I did it. Now they're listening to me. Now we're gonna make it sustainable. Now, you know, they have a stubborn bitch there that's gonna constantly be, you know, stopping the missiles and telling the government that, you know, they can't just do what they want with their rockets. They have to buy my anti-gravity equation, you know. So I remember being in the Amazon, on the river, on my little pirogue right there, looking at the sunset. And I was like, listen, either I die here, nobody will ever know where I was and never be remembered, or I'm gonna make a book out of this and be like, can't believe I'm here. Like, I went in that little pirogue for 2 hours on the Amazon by myself with a guide, and in a little lodge in the middle of nowhere with like giant snakes and like tarantulas and frogs, like fluorescent frogs and stuff, spiders like this, and like toucans, you know, and all kind of animals and monkeys, and by myself. Nobody paid for my trip. Nobody booked the trip for me. Nobody was there to check on me. I was just like, I did this by myself. I'm on the other side of the world. Like, I did it. Like, they thought I was not gonna do it. They thought I was just talking. They thought I was just saying, oh, I'm gonna go live in Peru. They're like, yeah, okay, you know. No, I did it. I did it by myself. I was 23 years old, and I was feeling so empowered. And then I got the job at the French school I had never worked as a teacher. They were like, you don't have a teaching degree. I was like, I know, but I've been studying languages all my life. I can teach it. Just give me a class and in 3 months, and then you'll tell me if you want to hire me or not. And they did that, and then they hired me. So I just went. I called the French embassy. I was like, I'm here. Get me an interview. They were like, oh, sorry, who are you? I was like, well, and there was another story to it and stuff, but I just was like, I'm gonna be that person. I'm gonna do everything I want to do, and nothing stopped me. So I was just so proud, and so yes, and then I felt like the nature then recognized it and empowered me with that mission. I was in the Amazon. I saw the deforestation, and the people they saying they were killing, the farmers if they were getting in the way. They were so welcoming and so nice. And now I come here and they treated me, with my French passport, white girl. When I came to Peru, they were like, you have a French passport, you have the keys to the world. I was like, they welcomed me like a princess. When I came here, they welcomed me like a piece of garbage. No, as long as I was married, the perfect little box thing, I was respected. As soon as I decided to, as soon as it was different, then I was treated like a piece of garbage. And now I see how they're treating the immigrants that come here. When you go to their house, they're so welcoming. They treat you like family, and now they come here and they treat them like criminals. They call them criminals. They live in anxiety, even though they left everything to come and rebuild their lives. Seriously, what is this? Americans, like, they think they're the best thing in the world. Excuse me, but have you ever heard a tourist come to America and say this is the best country in the world? I haven't heard any. Okay? The only people that say that America is the best thing in the world is Americans, because they don't go anywhere, because they've been brainwashed since they were born that America is the best. They're hamburgers. Anyways. Yeah. You probably heard it. I thought about it so loud. But that they don't even want to travel. They don't learn other languages. They don't travel. They don't want to see anything else. No? They go to Grand Canyon. It's great. I love Grand Canyon. But there's other things also. There's other cultures. They're scared. They live with guns. It's symbolic. They live in fear. Their Second Amendment is based on fear. They live with guns to protect themselves. Protect from what? Other humans? Like we're bears? Like we're wolves? Like we're gonna eat each other? If you're teaching peace instead of teaching like fighting and selling missiles and guns, they live in fear of the foreign. So of course. But travel, go see something else, go to France. No, don't go to France. No, because people are rude. In France, where they say we're rude because we're straightforward. But in fact, once you pass the direct thing that's a little accommodate people, we're actually very kind and very welcoming. And go to South America, go to Asia, go to India, go to Africa. They're so nice, welcoming. People go on a trip to Africa for months. They come back, they're like so laid back. Or Haiti, they're just laughing all the time. My students from Haiti, they're just laughing all the time. And they're very smart, very smart. Oh my God, my boys from Haiti, all geniuses. Like crazy. Like, I'm not saying this to be polite. Like geniuses, high IQ, and always laughing. So, before you judge, go see the world, and then bring the best of it. The stuff you don't like, just leave it, and bring the best of it and make America better. Right, guys? So, thank you. Don't worry, there's some things I like in America. Otherwise, I would not be here. I like the big houses. I like the big houses. And I like that there is the United Nations. I like the Green Canyon. And I like the beach and the dolphins. Okay? So, and the network, the people, they are actually one thing I really like about America is that people are kind. Like not every that I would say half of the ignorance that are don't know how to feed themselves and don't educate them. They're not educated. They're aggressive and violent and fearful. But for the rest of them, Americans, they are very kind and they're very helpful to each other. They will go out of their way to help you. They're always trying to find compliments that at the beginning I found it was superficial. I love your shoes. Oh my God. Oh, I love your shoes. I was like, okay. In France, you never, like, you go to people, oh my God, I love your shoes. Okay. But now I realize it's because they're just trying to say something nice, they're just trying to compliment. And this is how they break the ice. So you get used to it. They're actually nice. And just watch the Kardashians. I love the Kardashians because they're not mean. There's nothing mean in their show. They're always complimenting each other. Yeah, there's some drama and arguments, but there is a real women's solidarity. They're always very creative. So another thing I love in America is the mentors. I love the everything is possible. I'm not just gonna stay content. Like they're rich, they could just stop working, but they want to keep creating. They want to keep pushing themselves to be better and better people and find a sense of meaning. And I love that there is mentorship. In France, this doesn't exist, so we don't have mentors. We just complain, but we don't take action. We don't do the difficult things. The efforts of today are the rewards of tomorrow. What was the one quote? Hold on, let me think. Oh yeah, one quote that I love from my mentor Dean Graziosi was, there is no competition. There's not a lot of competition at the top because not a lot of people are willing to do the work that it takes, And that's what I was telling my students the other day, because we were taking exams and two of my students finished really quickly, like in 5 minutes, their exam. And I was like, are you sure? Like, I know them. I was like, are you sure you did your best? Like, I know you're smart. I know you could do better if you spend a little more time on it. And they're like, no, I just don't want to do it. I was like, please sit down. Just try to put some thoughts into it. They're like, no, I'm not doing it, whatever. And they left. So I was like, okay. And I know that these are kids that can. They're naturally smart. And then I have one of my other students who was like, okay, I'm done. I'm like, oh, no. One of my boys from Haiti, he's like, okay, I'm done. I'm like, no, you're not. And it's like, well, did they do it? The two boys that left, it's like, did they do it? What did they do? I was like, doesn't matter what they did. It's like, no, I want to know if they did it. And then I was like, okay, guys, stop your exam. Listen to me. And I gave them my little mentorship. Listen. I drew a pyramid on the board. I was like, this is the top, okay? You see this little point right there? There's not a lot of people at the top. You see right there at the bottom, where it's easy and quick? There's a lot of people there, okay? So if you're comparing yourself to all the other people all the time that want to do just the minimum because they lazy, or because they listen to themselves being tired, or because the others didn't do it, or because they don't want to face a challenge because maybe they don't trust themselves. Sometimes you don't want to face the challenge because you just don't trust yourself, or you don't want to be disappointed. And you feel like, oh, if I fail because I didn't do it, at least I can be disappointed in myself because I know whatever, I didn't care. Another student who told me, oh, I got used to, what did she tell me? I trained myself to not be bothered by my bad grades, so I don't care. I was like, but the problem was like, it's great, you're never going to live in anxiety. But if you get comfortable in having bad grades, this is going to become your normalcy and your level. Okay? So I told them that. I was like, you want to be at the normalcy, you want to be at the low level, unbothered, then just stay there. I was like, however, if you want to be among the few that are right there at the top, who don't compare themselves to the others, who don't stop in the middle here where there is the efforts and the challenges and whatever obstacles, difficulties, doubts, long writing, 2 pages essay, or studying in the weekends, then you're going to be there. Like, you're going to be out in this little one, and these are the people with good jobs and a lot of money and the good wives and the good husbands, and they go on the cool holidays. And like, one of my students, he's like, we start writing. He's like, yeah, wait and see. Like, there was some boy that met mocking him because he was the last one doing the essay. He's like, well, you're still at it. He's like, yeah, just wait and see. And he was like writing his essay, and I was like, good job. So yeah, guys, that's it. So sometimes I try to, all the time, I'm trying to do their little mindset before they get to high school. Mostly those who just come here, it's so important, and this is one of the good things of America. So you see, that's still like America. There's still some good stuff. In France, everybody told me in France after my divorce, just come back, whatever, your art, where's just some paintings, just whatever, these Americans, that's dumb, stupid, and fat, and McDonald's, all the stereotypes where we all think like that. But there's more to it also, there's a lot of great people, there's a lot of greatness. This is where the decisions of the world are being made. All the world is talking about Trump and Elon Musk right now, whether they like it or not, it's happening. So we better be in the right, guys. Thank you for watching. Have a great weekend, and vote for me, please, for the Mandela Prize, of course. This is why I do all this. Support each other. Go to work. Be your new Secretary General or High Representative or whatever you trust me in doing. I want a high position at the United Nations. I feel like I would truly, sincerely represent the network after so many years working towards each other. No matter the disputes, no matter the obstacle, we still make it together. Have the leverage to have right email and actually have people responding to me, which was great. I love to see who snubs me when I'm in my difficult times, and who was always true to being a friend in the difficult times. You really find your tribe like this. And so we can continue the legacy of the Secretary General and dynamize, revamp a little bit the UN, hire new people, and keep the vibe, guys. Okay, have a good weekend. Thank you.